Thank you, Pankaj. Subject of today's roundtable is interconnection of regional grids. Basically, the interconnection of SAR grid with GCC grid and ASEAN grid. One ASEAN grid on the eastern side and GCC grid on the western side of the South Asian grid. I'll next few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, I'll focus on this particular subject only, the interconnection of these three grids. And one of the earlier speaker, Mr. S.R. Narasimhan, my ex-colleague in fact, he has talked about few specific points about these interconnections. I'll also limit myself to some specific issues related to this. Basically, my objective would be to talk of the roadmap and what would be the roadmap for these interconnections, grid interconnections. What are the objectives behind that? And before I take up that point, in brief, I'll try to cover the current status of these three regional grids. As South Asian grid, we know most, it is already strongly connected. More than 3,500 megawatt of power that is being transacted amongst the different countries. And the quantum of energy is also of the order of 16 billion units, which is more than 1% of the total energy consumed in this particular grid. And there are very strong connections, and already it is connected at the 400 kV level, HVDC level. And with the current policy which has been announced, which Mr. Pankaj has covered in good detail, so with the trilateral, multilateral agreements and the participation in the power exchange, these volumes are definitely going to be increased. So as far as South Asian grid or SAR grid is concerned, already it is very strongly connected. Regarding the other grids, if I look at the GCC interconnection, basically in the GCC interconnection, 7 countries they have combined, and already GCC market trading platform is there. And this platform has been developed by Nord Pool on the lines of Southern African Power Pool, and the traded volume is of the order of around 1.32 billion units. And basically this interconnector capacity is 664 megawatt, by virtue of which they are able to save the capacity of around 3,000 megawatt. If individually this interconnector they have constructed in order to share the reserves, and if had the individually each country would have gone there for their own reserves, then this could have been of the order of 3,054 megawatt. So this is how, so GCC grid is also interconnected, and there is already a trading platform is there. As far as ASEAN grid is concerned, there is a ASEAN member states. They have also combined, and there are plans that by 2025, the trade models are proposed to be there. And they intend to develop these models in 3 stages. The 3 stages are, one is during the first stage, they want to place the harmonized bilateral trade model in practice. That is 3 set of standardized bilateral contracts, template they want to make. Then they want to come out with the standard billing charges methodology, how the billing charges methodology would be there, and then a regional coordinator institution. So these are the 3 steps what they want to do for the first point. Then secondary trading model. In the second stage, they want to come up with the secondary trading model. That is a regional market they want to come out, where the transactions would take place on the regional basis instead of their national markets or the system operation within the countries. On the regional basis, some transactions would start. And the final, the power trading model, that is the power exchange model, basically they are trying to develop, and they think that it would be fully integrated by 2025. So these are the three status of the three regions that is currently that is available at this particular point of time. And the second issue is, before we go to the roadmap and objectives, is the opportunities and the challenges. As we know, opportunities, all of us know the opportunities. There are time deviations, time diversity, almost 2.5 hours towards the eastern side and almost equal time towards the western side. So around a time diversity of around 5 hours, time diversity, then resource diversity and seasonal diversities. So all these are there, which naturally gives the energy security as well as the cost benefits. Regarding the challenges, of course, the development of the interconnections that has to be carried out. So that is one of the requirements. These have to be developed, like we have seen sometimes the coming up with the lines and all that. That takes a lot of time, lot of resources are also required. It has to be found out, a system has to be found out. So that is one part. Then other than the interconnections, the finding out the market coupling, the mechanisms, how the market would work, how those settlements would be carried out, that is also required, which of course can be carried out, but for that mechanism is required and the harmonized policies. So these are the opportunities and challenges are concerned. As far as the roadmap is concerned, for the roadmap, if I take three specific points, what could be the objectives and how this roadmap can be achieved. So one is the first and foremost requirement would be the strong interconnections. As in the initial remarks, Rezi, when we were mentioning about the connection of the Oman with the Gujarat and all that, around 1800 kilometers, that is the distance, sea cable has to be put. So that is a long link is there. It is intended to connect on the western side. But as Mr. Arora has stated, he has given an example of Singapore with the Australia, around 4,000 kilometers line and all that. So these feasibilities are there, but of course, putting up such a large interconnector, 1800 kilometers, suppose sea cable, or we go through the land, then it has to go through Pakistan and Afghanistan. That could be the other route, but because of political, geopolitical and all issues, that is also an issue to be seen. But otherwise, long cable, 1800 kilometers sea cable, that would be one part. Then the second part would be, because all the regions, if we want to connect, for instance, the GCC also, they have a lot of opportunities for the solar generation as well as gas. They may also be surplus region. And ASEAN is concerned, again, there are potentials are there. Myanmar and all that hydro potential is there. So they may be importing also at some time, they would be exporting also at some time. So for exchange of the power from, and when we talk of the SAARC region, the advantages, we have a lot of renewable potential is there. Already India has a large plants of 450 gigawatt or so renewable generation capacity India wants to bring in. And then there is a large hydro potential, 350 gigawatt of the hydro potential is there. So combining the renewable and hydro, power, electricity can be developed, which is slightly firm in nature also. So when one region intends to transfer the energy to the other region, the type, quality of the energy, that would also be important. So if it is a firm energy is there, definitely that will have a better chances of the transaction. And the third and the another important point is about the cost. Because if the regional already large transmission network involving the huge cost, if they are built up, the cost of the energy has to be very, very competitive. Only the competitive energy cost that would be able to save from one region to another region. So transmission network, the firmness of the energy and the cost, these are the, I think, three main points which have to be addressed and looked into. And with this, in a gradual manner, definitely the interconnections of these three grids can be achieved. Thank you.